What is an eating disorder and who does it affect?
Eating disorders will affect anybody. An eating disorder is a mental health condition where a young person might have significant negative feelings about their weight or shape or body, and as a result find themselves developing disordered eating. And by that I mean a range of different eating behaviours, including, for example, restricting their eating. You might also find some young people who are eating large amounts in a very short period of time in quite an uncontrolled way. Or equally, you might find some young people who find that the act of eating is so distressing that they find themselves trying to get rid of the content of some of that food. So, for example, by making themselves sick or really excessive exercising as well.
What can bring on an eating disorder for young people?
We know that sometimes significant life events, such as, for example, bullying, might mean that a young person might turn to disordered eating as a way of managing some of the really tricky and difficult emotions that they're experiencing. However, we also know that there's a significant role with regards to genetics, and that actually some young people might be more vulnerable to developing an eating disorder. Finally, we're also aware that we live within a society which is very weight and shape focused, and a huge amount of diet culture which really bombards young people on a daily basis.
What are some of the early signs of disordered eating, and what should parents look out for?
So watching out, for example, for a young person beginning to stop having particular meals or avoiding eating with other people, so for example going to eat in their room. You might also watch out for large amounts of food, for example, which is going missing from the cupboards. Or watching out for signs, for example, if a young person might have made themselves sick, such as disappearing off to the toilet immediately after a meal.
How can parents help support their teen if they notice signs of disordered eating?
I would say that the first thing to do is to actually approach them. So sometimes it's easier to approach a young person with some of the specifics that you notice. For example, I noticed that you're not having lunch with us as much as that you used to, and I was wondering why that is. It's then recognising actually and supporting a young person, thinking about how they might go about getting help, encouraging them, for example, to come along with you to their GP. And in the meantime, I'd encourage you to try to eat together as a family as much as possible.
What support is available for teens and parents who are dealing with eating disorders?
Your GP will be able to access services if you feel that your young person is developing an eating disorder. Equally, there's lots of online forums which are really supportive at the moment, particularly for young people and for parents. So for example, BEAT is the National Eating Disorder Charity, and equally there's a website called FEAST, which is an international organisation for parents who are supporting a young person with an eating disorder as well.